What's going on in YouTube? Hope you're all doing very well. Welcome back to another video here on our channel. I'm a FIFA Analyst, and today we're bringing you post-patch controller settings for a specific reason that a lot of you guys are struggling to defend right now on FIFA 22, and you're wondering why. What's changed in the post-patch? I don't understand. What can I do with my settings to try and help and enable that? Or maybe you missed my original video on this at the start of the year. So essentially what we had a problem in FIFA where people were glitching the system. You have something here called competitive master switch, right? When you have it off, theoretically, it means that you can adjust all of these things right in front of us. When we go into a rivals games, a champs game, any online mode on FIFA, it should technically kick into place and be on, meaning that you cannot change auto clearances, assisted headers, jockeying, and so on. However, there was a glitch where people were bypassing that and able to change this setting here from jockey to assisted, from manual to assisted. And what this meant is that defending them became easier for you because basically the speed is assisted from the AI. So when you're holding that L2, that LT button to jockey, it's a little bit easier for you. That has changed. You can't do that now. EA have patched it, meaning that it is on. You may have seen some videos from people telling you how to, cheat essentially and turn this off so you could do it, and that's maybe what you did, or maybe you did it accidentally and you now have to get used to manual defending. So what is manual defending difference with a jockey? Essentially, how much sprint you put on and what you do with the left stick is all down to you. So you're probably like Bambi on ice right now, and you are defending so aggressively, you can't stick to the ball holder, your defender's so far away. My invitation to you here: if the opponent is dribbling inside your 18-yard box, they're looking for a quick skill move, something like that, don't be too big on that sprint button. Don't be too heavy on it. Relax a little bit. You only want to use the sprint button to catch up ever so slightly, but really relax and use just the jockey by itself. Mirror the opponent. If the opponent is sprinting, then you can sprint. If they're going to come to a stop, you need to let go of that sprint button and just use the jockey. So, competitive master switch is on now on the online game mode, so that's what you'll see when you go here. And let's talk you through any other settings for anyone else that may be interested. Through pass assistance, this essentially is going to be how much the through balls are directly assisted for you. If I remember correctly, when you go online, you can't have assisted. It's semi or manual. If I remember correctly. Obviously, I'm not in an online game mode, so it's allowing me to change this now. But if you pause it in the game, you'll see that it'll be semi, and obviously it's manual. You can't have it on assisted. I have it on semi. You obviously want it to be slightly assisted. Manual you can do. It's just very much down to you and your ability to get it right every time. I prefer semi, just because it works. I don't normally prefer a semi elsewhere in my life, but just there will work quite well. The FIFA trainer, doesn't matter whether you have it on or off. There is a bug at the minute, I believe, where you can actually have the FIFA trainer on in champs and rivals, which is where you can see the green time finessing. If you want to go for that finesse shot or just normal shot with the green time finesse, you can see that on there. Timed finishing, on, always on. Finishing is so crucial this year to time it. I just can't tell you guys enough how much you need to be using time finishing. You're going to take a shot and you can press that shoot button again to time it right. Have the FIFA trainer on. If it's still going to work online, use it, practice it, and get that animation down. You'll score so many more goals from doing this. The next player switch indicator, this is where if you tap L1, you will see a little orange triangle over another player. Where you press L1, it will change to him. So say if you're on with your right centre-back and the second defender, next player switch indicator is on the left centre-back, you tap L1, LB, it will change you to him every time. I don't like this because sometimes I get confused on who I'm controlling. My brain can't process the two icons. They're too similar. It doesn't work for me, but it may work for you, so feel free to try it. Pass block assistance on. You want this on. The only downside to this is that sometimes your players will make this animation where they try to intercept and they do this animation and they don't intercept it and then they're took out of the game. It's one of them. It is frustrating when it happens, but it's still worth having on in my opinion. Auto switching. I have this only on air ball. So if the ball is whipped in and I haven't switched to it already, the game will switch me to the guy that's about to defend and head that ball away. I don't have it on automatic. You don't want that. You need to learn normal switching, right stick switching. Do not have it on automatic. You can have it on air balls and loose balls. I personally don't like it being on loose balls. And the reason for this is that when sometimes they're there, it's a little bit slow. Sometimes I don't want it to switch to that loose ball player. It just works for me to have it directly on air balls. You can go manual if you really trust yourself to right stick switch and L1 switch on every cross. I forget. My brain's lazy. It doesn't work for me. Auto switch move assistance. This is actually a massive one. And I've seen some people saying that if you change this, you don't feel like you're delayed. Let's just, clear this up now. Auto switch move assistance. So let's say if you're controlling with your centre mid and you're going to change to your centre back and the striker is running in on goal and your centre back is running slightly up on this angle towards the goal. When it's on high, the game has pre-programmed a path for your defender to run into. When it's on high, even though you may be pointing your left stick the other way, it will still run on that path for the next half a second or so, let's say. And you will be like, no, run down. And he won't. And he'll feel like he's stuck in the mud, like he's stuck there. He's on that path. And that's what can happen. That's where you can feel like your player isn't turning because it's on that high auto switch move assistance. When you have it on low, they still go into that path ever so slightly, but now it's only 0.25 seconds. It's not as much. When you have it on none, you instantly take control of that player when you player switch to him. The downside to this is that some people change to the player and they change to the wrong player and they end up pulling someone else out of position because they're pointing the stick in the wrong direction. I prefer none because I trust my right stick switching and my L1 switching, and I make sure that I'm very precise with it. But I want my players to react to what I'm doing immediately. I don't want a window where I have to wait. It's what works for me. Clearance assistant, classic or directional. They added in this new one this year, directional. This takes into consideration directional input, but still fully assists on power and picks the earliest available contact point. You want to be mindful here. So what you got to remember is sometimes you hold square or X to completely clear the ball. It will always try and find you someone to pass to. So when you go directional, think about where you're aiming your stick if you're going to do that. I go with classic. It just means that everything is fully assisted and it doesn't matter about where you're aiming the controller. So if you are aiming the stick in the wrong direction, it doesn't matter. It will still clear the ball when you tell them to clear. Player lock I use on. This is where you push the left stick and the right stick in. I actually think they're really, really effective. They were effective last year. You need to get them into your game if you haven't already. They do really, really work. I get them in. Icon switching. This is where you're defending and you press the right stick in. It's a bit slow. I don't really like it. I have it on because on the odd occasion, say if the ball's out on the wing and I want to change to my right centre back and I've got to do like 3 switches originally to get to him, I will just press that right stick in, see what the icon is to change to him and change to him that way. I have my right stick switching on player relative. I've always done this because it is the default setting. It's what you're used to if you've been playing FIFA for many, many years. Ball relative, some people prefer. It's down to personal preference. Try what works for you. Player relative is what works for me. Ground pass assistance, all of these. Everything you want on assisted for me personally. Some people do have crossing on semi. I find that assisted works really well this year because crosses do actually work quite well as well, actually. But assisted is what works for me. Analog sprint on or off. This is where if you hold the right trigger down ever so slightly and you have it, let's say, on, this means that if you only put 50% of the trigger down, your player will sprint 50%. If you have it off, one little slight tap a sprint and they get to full speed straight away. I used to run this on because I used to like to be able to really control the movement of my players. I've soon realised that if I want my guy to sprint, I want him to sprint full speed. Again, in bad gameplay, everything like that, this can just be so much easier and quicker for you. Pass receiver lock, I have it on early now. I used to have it on late, which is the default setting. But this gives me the animation to get into position that when the player's going to receive the ball, I can get to him earlier. Sometimes when you have it on late, you play a pass and your player never gets onto it because it changes too late, and I don't like that. Classic feedback on the vibration. I don't want it enhanced or anything. Sounds like something else that does. And then trigger resistance off. That's if you're on PlayStation, I believe. I don't think that is on Xbox. So that's what I'll go with there. I don't change any of my settings on here. I play on the default settings, shooter's circle, all that sort of stuff. And then if you're wondering about my camera angle, because I know a lot of you guys ask about that as well, I use 2 different camera angles. I use telebroadcast 17:3 at the minute. I have been doing 15:10 as well. And I do also do co-op, which is the more zoomed out one. If you want to see the whole look of the pitch, co-op is also what I run, and I run 20:0 on there. Player name and indicator to get the player names above your head, and I really recommend you guys doing that as well. Everything else here just default, really. Don't change too much. Have the controller icons on. And that is it. That is what I run. That is how I have my controller and camera settings. And obviously the post patch has changed it a little bit because they've fixed that glitch. So you might have been caught out by that if you were using it. If you enjoyed the video, if you found it helpful, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Go on over to the Twitch stream, say hello. And yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.